Hello, and welcome to Neuro Da Verse. My name is Ryerson, and this is my capstone project. This project is the culmination of my years in Cornell College. A synthesis of my studies in psychology, theater, and art. I am hoping to become an advocate for neurodiversity through the arts. And this project is my proving ground. Thusly, this performance will be a lot of me at first while I'm setting the stage for my poets. Please understand that the words that they will be sharing are their own. Not all of their opinions are my opinions, and not all of my opinions are their opinions. We will be each sharing our own personal truth through our poetry and our narratives. Now, settle in and tune in. Hello and welcome to Neuro Da Verse. Yet again, this is poetry for a different brain. My name is Ryerson, and I will be introducing myself a few times tonight. Right now, this first time, I am the poet before you, 22 years old, a senior in Cornell College, steps away from graduating, big, bold, filling the space with my voice, and I'm the proud director and producer of this year's poetry performance. This year's poetry performance that I will have 5 Cornellian poets take the stage and slam some stanzas into your ears. Some verses on their diversity, some couplets on their creativity, some rhymes about the resilience found in poetry and forged in ink. Soon enough, you will hear our stories. Let them sink in. And understand that we are calling you to action. Celebrate with us. And after you're finished, go out into the world and support the many uses of poetry in the neurodiverse community. Now we move on to meet me again, little Chris. From the moment I could wiggle around my crib, I've always had a bit more than the other kids. A bit more and a bit less in turn. More energy and less focus for starters. I wriggled across the floor, and as soon as my baby brain could figure out that whole balancing act, I was walking, trotting, and running around. I talk more than other kids. I push and pull more. I poke and wiggle, and when it came to movement, I was a gold star student, but when it came to sitting still, I was far behind the curve. My energy levels were at a simmer most of the times and a boil the rest, and I never really knew why people would get so irate with me, so angry, so annoyed. I didn't notice a thing called personal space unless it was my own, did not see how other folks could live on another timetable. Of course, this is all typical kid stuff. So here's an excerpt from a letter my mother sent me to help me with this project. Chris, the beauty of being a kid is that you live in your own world. You don't notice that you are different. You just think everyone acts and thinks like you do. And while we told you about your ADHD, you were not able to control it when you were young. The impulsivity would take over, and though slowly you gathered up tools and little devices that allow you to control some impulses, well, it isn't that you wanted to be impulsive. You just were. It was the way your brain was wired. You were pretty happy-go-lucky and enjoyed being outdoors and playing with Legos, and you tried to fit in and do play dates, but they typically didn't go that well. You would want to play Legos or outside or whatever, and you'd be making your own rules that would sometimes be off-putting to other kids, and soon enough, you would be home again. So according to my memory, and corroborated by my mother, I was always confronted with the task of restraining myself, even when that's all sitting still was, restraining myself. Those devices my mother spoke about, the ones that would help me, they consist of thought processes, ideas, and habits that are part of what I like to call my mental toolbox. My mental toolbox throughout my elementary school years was containing 3 major tools: reading, books, and writing. Reading books, playing outside, and writing. These 3 tools, they all have the same core. They a thread that connects them all. When using them, I did not have to restrain myself or read anybody else's actions or reactions or worry that I was being too much. At least not to the same level as in class or play dates or at home. In all of which I had to play by the rules of social interactions and not only focus on what I was doing, but how others around me were acting. Are they smiling? Are they moving around? Am I allowed to move around? Are they sitting still? I have to sit still. Am I allowed to have snacks? Am I allowed to ask questions yet? Are we allowed to speak? Can I show you my favorite book? Well, these were all different checks and questions, all different words and ideas and thought processes swirling around in my head, while also my body was frizzing at the bits. I had to move and I had to control the movement. I had to move, I had to control the movement. These were all balancing plates. I had to keep spinning, I had to keep still just to be well behaved, just to be tolerable. And my three tools were my ways of disengaging from that balancing act and resting my wiggly brain. Be it diving into stories and other worlds, or ranging into the forests of my hometown, or simply communicating in a way that other people seem to understand. The first two tools, they came along before the third. Starting in preschool, I would have a book in my hands, a book on my desk, a book in my desk, a book in my cubby, 2 books in my backpack, 3 books at home, and on Wednesdays. Wednesdays were library days, so I'd check out as many books as I was allowed to check out. And on Fridays were the days I'd go to the public library. I'd check out just as many books, and you can only start to understand how high that those missing books and lost book fees were for my family. They were substantial to say the least. And I'd read everywhere and everywhen except when I was moving. When I was playing outside, the outside world was a never-ending playground, a never-ending expanse where I could find the very few places I could hide away and not have to put effort into balancing being me. I had the luck and the privilege of growing up in a forested town nestled in the Rocky Mountains. Trees and streams, rocks and brambles, they were the recess field of my youth. The adventures I had were as numerous as the scratches and bruises I'd come home with. And out in those wild of the Rockies, I was free to make noises and wiggle and twitch. I would find the hollows and good climbing trees and fish my well-worn books out of my backpack and read and read and read until dusk. And I'd only go home because I didn't have enough light to keep reading with. These tools, they served me well before I figured out how to say I need to recharge or I need a break when that overload of balancing acts would start to fry my brain. I would either bark or sigh or simply leave the room when I was not getting my way in school or in home or at sports. And it was hard to tell folks how I felt. So I could get away and recharge, but I could not tell others why I was stressed or what was wrong. Not effectively, at least. That's where my third tool came in. Poetry. I learned about it in first grade, and back then it was just me putting what I was thinking down onto ink and putting some spaces every so often. Here's a poem from my first grade year in which I talk about a very special place to me. Fall special place description. And in the acorn forest, the tree that is my special acorn tree has branches that criss and cross to form an acorn castle with many thrones and many rooms to be beheld. By this tree, there are many acorns to be seen. Some of them are as green as grass, and some of them are as brown as the mystical bark of the tree they fell from. Some are as thick as a brick, and some are as hollow as a can. This tree is a very special place to me. This special place was an acorn tree on a recess field, surrounded by other acorn trees, but this one was my special tree. It's where I would come back to and recharge every day at recess, as soon as I got out of lunch or as soon as the bell was about to ring. And with this poem, I was able to tell people that that place, it mattered to me, that it existed, that there was a place that I could be myself and be safe and happy in. And people recognized that. People understood. Through poetry, I was being understood. And so with my three tools, I could suddenly explore and find my recharge stations. Read a book when I get there, and write about it when I get back. The world was becoming an easier place to live in, for I was able to escape for bits at a time. But as all kids learn, the world changes fast when you're 2 foot nothing. Soon enough, you're expected to tie your own shoes, and put on your own jacket and know all of the addition tables. Scary stuff for any kid, but with me, with my ADHD, I was already struggling with the mental workload of sitting still and not painting on my desk or poking my peers in the ear, as I thought I should. I never should. But in spaces I controlled, like Lego's books or my special places, I could take changes in stride and embrace them, focus my energy in on them, and explore what was new, what was familiar. Here is a second poem of mine, written in 2nd grade. A poem that I feel shows how I could take changes in stride when given the space to process them. Winter Special Place poem. My special place has donned a crystal coating. Now it is a crystal palace. I have traded its bronze for silver, and its gold for diamonds. It has a coat of snow and a blanket of ice. My mystical tree has been stripped of its leaves and acorns. Instead now, I am an emperor of ice and snow. So there I was, working with what I knew, working with what worked. What works for an elementary schooler doesn't always work for a middle schooler. Changes that took away a lot of my familiarity happened at around age 12. I was moving across town. I was going to a whole new building. I was having to say goodbye to every teacher I loved. Here is that final special place poem. Here is where I confronted that change of changes, 4th grade to middle school, with those 3 tools I had at my side. Special place farewell. Thank you, my mystical tree. Thank you, my marvelous castle. Thank you, my sparkling crystal palace. Thank you for giving me so many memories. But now I must go to middle school. I will most likely never to return to your loving branches. That very summer, they bulldozed that forest as they were bringing big trucks in to build a new middle school. I sometimes like to think that my poem was prophetic. Now, middle school. New me, hello, I'm Christopher Ryerson. I play lots of sports just like my 3 older brothers. Hockey, lacrosse, football, soccer, but that's not that much anymore because I want to play football now. And I love Caroline Hansen. She's the special education teacher. She has Legos in her room. She lets me come and play them during lunch periods. How cool is that? And I'm still me. I still have a table to myself in the back of every classroom. My growing exuberance is becoming a bit dangerous with my actions. They're so fast, and I'm actually stronger now, and I pull books off the shelf so hard that the shelf falls on me. I hug too hard. I hold hands too hard. The other boys, they don't let me play in their wrestling matches, and it's not like I'm easy to invite anyways. A strange filter seems to exist between me, my ears, and my brain, and it leaves the blatantly obvious murky at best, and the subtle downright invisible. So it was an effort to interact with others. It was an effort to be right around others, to say jokes at the right time with the right tone, and even if I copied other schoolyard comedians perfectly, no one would laugh, no one would giggle. I didn't understand that I was saying it at the wrong time, in the wrong way. Subtleties were those invisible signposts and warnings that I could never pick up on. I'd want to help, I'd want to be funny, I'd want to be in and around groups, I'd talk, offer lots of help without knowing that people had already given me polite rebuffs. Hey, can I help you? I can do it on my own. Oh, okay. Can I still help you? I'm fine, thanks. But you're working so slow, and now you have a frown. Are you sure you don't need help? And so on and so forth, until they would have to yell at me to get me to stop. Or at least so it seemed to them. When to me, it seemed like they were going from 0 to 100, a friendly chat to yelling. I became wary. I became worried that I'd never make good friends, and I never really thought it in such clear terms. I didn't know it. I was growing more and more isolated throughout middle school, and in 8th grade, my frustrations were running high. I was always visiting the counselor or my special ed teacher or the principal to cool off from one outburst or another. My brain was overloaded by the efforts to understand others and be understood in turn, and also be tolerable in class, and also learn, and also not talk too much. Looking back, one of my poems spoke quite deeply about where I found my solace. What was mattering to me in those days of 14-year-old range? I lived to dream. The waking moment is spent yearning. For the blissful embrace of night, even as the day turns slowly through, and as I slog step by step, hopelessly reconstructing the swiftly shattering gleams of ever after, shoving together mismatched shards, throwing up support after support in an attempt to ward off the quakes of consciousness reverberating from the crack of worldly recognitions at the first sign of day, till the final whisper before the fall. Into sublime subconsciousness in 1,000 new worlds, each more real than my own, but as if in taunt, it all slips away in but a flash, shoving me back into the froth and mist of the outside world. And step by step, I slog through anger, stress, and injury. All before a glimpse of the only light I know in this engulfing abyss of mortality. So a bit dramatic for a 14-year-old who got to ice skate or ski every weekend if he so chose. But, to be honest, not all that uncalled for. For a kid like me with ADHD like mine, 7th and 8th grade is right about the time that we really start that trip on the struggle bus. We're starting algebra, getting more and more homework. Our sports are no longer weekend enrichments, but full-time commitments we are expected to give our all in. Social interactions and networks are complexifying, and to top it all off, puberty is raging. We're getting speech after speech during 8th grade that we won't get away with acting out of turn or being rowdy in class, and that our late work won't be accepted, or, well, that high school would be different. High school would be harder. I wouldn't be able to turn in my late classwork or anything. I was scared and frustrated. And I loved my teachers, but they couldn't do as much as I loved them. They couldn't do as much as I wanted them. Sorry. I don't like dissing my teachers. Anyways, they can only do so much to understand one student when 24 others are in their classroom, 3 of them with IEPs each. And even though I was making my friends, and I was making my way through school, I was still working double time to balance all of the above in my head while also trying to be tolerable to the other people in my life. And high school, it only amplified all of the above with the addition of actually hard classes. Poetry was a saving grace back then, as it was and will be. I've been using poetry to tackle all sorts of problems, dealing with grief, dealing with feelings, needs, fun, and losses. And unsurprisingly, poetry was my #1 tool to deal with homework. Special ed teachers had to help me convince their coworkers that a poem could be an essay more than once. More than a dozen times, come to think of it. Because, be it state standardized tests or assigned essays, I would always chafe in the boundaries of the paragraph block of prose. In prose, you have to use a proper structure, have to filter thoughts into sentences, and trust others to know which words are important without capitalizing a single one out of turn, because those capitalizations were important in your brain, and your brain loves the important words, and no, you can't do that. You have to follow the rules, just like you have to follow the rules in social interactions. And though I love to do both. I love to be friends with people, and I love to write prose. It was draining and tiring and chafing. And when that chafing turned to looking for a way out, poetry was on the other side of the fence. For example, in 8th grade, I had to write a poem about the poaching of rhinos. Wounded, dying, dead. In a large forest choked with dark green foliage, a magnificent beast lies in the dirt. It was wounded. It is dying. Will be dead. Blood staining its light gray skin. 2 large horns, chipped and scraped. Solemn eyes closing for the final time. Its pointed ears hear the rustle of its killer's steps in the bush. One final breath. Killed with spear, bullet, or bow. Slaughtered by man. Killed for money? For food? For sport? It wasn't the last of its kind. It was wounded. Had been dying. Is now dead. And in 9th grade geology class, I had to explain the rock cycle in a big old essay. Igneous to sedimentary to metamorphic. I still remember that cycle. But that's only because I wrote a poem. Forged of fire. Feel the heat. Flow into the world. Feel the wind. Forged of fire. Stand tall. Bask in the warmth of the birthing flames. Stand strong. Endure the scouring winds until you give in and whisper into dust. Gather the shards. Feel the weight of brethren. Come together and join the family. Feel that strength. Build the bonds. But feel the wind. Go to ground. Gather together. The pressure is on. You must propagate change. You must adapt to survive. Feel the movement. Delve into the depths. Reach the end. Find the forge. Feel the heat. Feel the flow. Return to beginnings. Complete the cycle. You see? So, igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. I got it. My teacher, that teacher, she still has that as an example for that project. So, middle school, high school, and now college. Because in my freshman year of college, I had a math class. And the final for that class was a 40-hour work project. I could do anything if I applied the concepts of problem solving taught to us in that block and showed significant effort over a 40-hour period. I tried to paint a lot, but could not figure out how to problem solve with math inside of a painting. I tried to do some statistics, but couldn't find anything I wanted to count. And 4 days before the final due date, I thought about what we had learned. Thought about infinity, a weird concept that is pretty simple to throw around in schoolyard contests of one-upmanship. I have an infinity sword. I have an infinity +1 sword. Or it's easy to throw around in sci-fi books, to infinity and beyond. That's a movie. But it's hard to understand deeply. Like a lot of mathematical concepts are, it's hard to describe without the right words. And I got to thinking, my thoughts are hard to describe to others without the right words. It hit me because to solve my problem with problem-solving skills, I write a poem. I want to explain something about me, about we, so I can get to know you better. Sets. Collection of numerical elements bound by a unifying rule, a connection inherent, a mathematical mind box you can open and close, fill with numbers or fill with nothing. You can break them up into smaller sets and put them back together, making all different kinds. One kind of set in particular is our focus, the subset. A subset is a building block of the parent set, said to be proper when it only contains elements from its parent set. It's breaking your box into 2 or more, subdividing so the sections contain some, but not all. An infinite set is a set that contains a proper subset that is as large as the original set. A set is a series of numbers that can be described with a unifying rule. Infinity is a concept that contains itself. Different types of infinity exist. Different, but the same when defined by cardinality. Cardinality, the sum of the elements given within the set. Each individual point has substance, is given a counting value. It's indefinable quantities of definable elements. That's what it means. An amount you can only describe. It can be between 0 and 1, an infinite set of decimals, or between 1 and the largest number possible, counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, counted one after another, but never ending. So when you reach that end, just add 1, and add another 1, and just add another decimal place, keep counting, and your infinity will grow. Infinity is a concept that can describe itself. A mind is a concept that can describe itself. A mind can describe infinity. Infinity can describe the human mind. This infinity, it can be between you and me. It can be when I think about kisses. It can be the steps that you take along life's path. It can be the different smiles you may see across the world. It can be the time that it takes my mind to break from the seamless typhoon that contains everything, something, nothing, half and half, but always you. You all. The infinite possibility of you humans, and they humans, and he humans, and she humans, me humans, we humans, all humans. The human set of infinite possibility defining itself and defining every set and subset of this universe we humans all share. Take, for example, the ways I can rearrange 26 letters to form an English summary of the infinite explanations I can think of who, when, where, why we humans go about our day. Infinity is a concept that contains itself with counting being its motive force. You can keep counting and counting 100, 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion, 1 trillion, billion, millions, 1 Googleplex to the Google power, enough zeros to outnumber the atoms in our universe. Because chemicals slosh. Biology squishes along with eating, drinking, breathing, fucking shitting, and dying. All of us in this finite and bounded existence, if we could not think of infinity. The unbounded heart and the unbounded mind, the indefinite, non-finite, indescribable realm of what you can think, what you can do, the people you may discover. These numbers have value, have worth, are manipulatable, stretchable, moldable, kissable things that will never run out if we just keep counting, if we just keep thinking, looking, talking, living at each other. The infinite possibility that we are all will forever be there. You all live in an infinity, your own subset with as many possibilities as the parent set. Your mind defining itself to define the universe. Our universe we share, created with the cardinality of 7 billion, give or take a few hundred million. Of course, we are only counting those earthbound and alive enough to share today, but nevertheless, the infinite set of we humans contains the universe we experience, plus the universe each of us experiences is nested within. You all live in a universe of your own proper subset of our whole. So think of infinity. Think of it all. Us all. Every second is forever if you let it be so. So share your seconds, your lives. Talk, write, create, and share. Build the universe our children will live in. And understand, please, that you are an infinity. Share it, please. Because I just want to know. To know your universe and know the wonder of your world because you are an infinity. A concept that can describe yourself. Possibility unbounded. Human infinity. So there you have it. 3 assignments, 3 poems, just 3 ways out of the infinite number of ways poetry has, can, and will help me. All because poetry is a multi-tool. Poetry is my space to push feelings and concepts that were mysterious and impulsive and hurting and hurtful around, find boxes for them, and gather them into communicable chunks and terms. And in my first semester of college, I came to grips with the role that poetry has taken in my life as a multi-tool to communicate my needs, wants, my dreams, and confusions. I wrote about it being a tool, started describing myself as poet. I wrote a poem where I explained, poetry is where? Poetry is where my lungs fill with ink, my teeth turn to graphite, my tongue to a pencil sharpener. Poetry is where my movement turns to line breaks, my gesticulation to underlines and punctuation. Poetry is where my brain leaks, splurts, and gushes out. A crack in this pretty white shell to show the world my writhing yoke. Poetry is my wavelength frequency, my blessed coherency, the tune that my tick can talk to resonate into my fellow humans' minds. Poetry is the key to the lock I slammed shut on my mouth at 6 years old. Poetry is the lockpick that springs me from my hesitation and holdback straitjacket, because my impulsive voice, it only ever got me into trouble. My wiggling words and twitchy, touchy, can't sit stills, they pinged me bright on the schoolyard radar. They only ever got me flack, while poetry gave me the bravery, the chutzpah to fly these unfriendly skies, to risk a few new perforations in my personality, to open up my damn mouth and scream it all out. Because poetry is my freedom. A filter through which my messed up mind seems so much more appealing to those not so drunk off life. Those who put the homo in homo sapiens. That is to mean sane. Same thinking, same working, same enough to know that I'm different, to know that I'm a battle-toothed, wiggle-rump weirdo. Poetry addresses that great age-old greatest wish of little Chris. The day that I could be normal. Normal enough to not draw Irish crosshairs, at least. Well, I've learned that I am not, never will be, never really want to be normal, but at least normal listens to my poetry. A poem to describe my poetry. Poetry as the context of my progress in life. I have used poetry in every facet of my life. I am still writing poetry, still using all these tools. I am using them to speak up and speak up loud, to present my journey so not only will I have a chance for my audience to understand me, but for that chance, that opportunity, that someone in my audience will find a mental tool in my verses, a tool that describes what they've been feeling but may not have had the words for. A tool that they can take for themselves to use to defuse the confusion, to rewire their discussions, to reword and respeak into their own self-advocation when they need to convince someone, anyone, that they are just human, just as human as everyone else, human with a different brain. And I want these fellow humans of mine to know that they are each a human with poetry at their tongue tips, serrated and sharp and compassionate and ready to make some space for them to unwind and recharge, to address their position as the only them in existence, to tell them that they're not alone, just unique enough to feel it so. A tool that opens up their mind and allows them to screw some things tighter or re-spool some overbound springs. A tool that gets them around, over, and through their obstacles. A tool that connects them to this neurodiverse community. You see, poetry is my rallying banner, my sledgehammer, my scalpel, my skeleton key. It's my lockpicks, and now it will be a platform for others to stand up upon and take the spotlight, to show off their own tools. Poetry can be so much for so many others, and in this next segment, you'll see, hear, and feel the power of the poetry in the hands of the neurodiverse. 4 fantastical hilltop poets are here with us today to share their own words and their own narratives. Please put your hands together for Lily Cott, Armani Rogers, Ujjesa Dhanak, and Zaria Evans.